Howdy y'all, and welcome to video number 46. Hopefully this should be a pretty quick one. Um, Way back at the beginning of this current iteration of the channel, I made a video called "You Are Here" or something, and I posited the first model for how I thought this how our reality kind of works, and it was laid out as a consciousness model, and just a bunch of dots basically explaining how I thought we were within a mirror of a different reality. And now we're sort of rolling into this toroidal model here. Toroidal model. It's pretty late at night and I'm really tired, but I need to get busy on these videos and get some information out. I'm not a content creator. I am here to develop ideas, Gnostic Vedanta and the Gnosis both. Again, Gnostic Vedanta being the philosophy and Gnosis being the practical application of the philosophy. This merging of Eastern and Western ideas. But the toroidal field, what is this? Now, this could be the model for a simulation that we are in. This could be a model for the creation that we are in. This could be a model for, the Big Bang, spontaneous generation kind of thing. I don't make any claims to what we really are in. This is a model for how it appears that this place works. What it is and how it got here, none of us will ever know. And I'm not here for that. Just trying to figure it out. But this toroidal model and the other model is still, like I said, is pretty relevant. It's a consciousness-based model. And I still lean towards consciousness. This toroidal field could be generated simply by consciousness. And matter of fact, it functions like that. And that's the way Gnostic Vedanta works, in a way, is that we live within the consciousness of Source. So let's break this down pretty quick. So in the middle of the big old toroidal field thing is what I call Source. It could be just here. It could be the whole thing. This is, if you read my book, the ocean of invisible light exists within the space. Or exists outside of this space. Again, not making any claims to what is, just how it works. And then what you have is these two fields. One, let's say, is exiting, and the other one is returning. And the one coming out of the top, I call the tree of life. Now, I know I'm not making claim to be the first one to use that. I'm just saying I am in this model saying this is the tree of life. This is the flow of potential. This is the flow of living information. It then goes along this outside here, which I call the field of experience, the qualia field, if you like. Even though qualia is just almost wanted to call it that, but I'm not gonna. Field of experience. And then once this information passes through there, it returns through. This is the tree of knowledge. And the tree of knowledge is lived experience, or it is rejected information or rejected knowledge, and it returns to Source. And then Source does what Source does, and then re-emits new potential based on what happens in the field of potential. And this is kind of like the whole crux of how this whole Gnostic Vedanta works. You see, I don't think, and I'm not the first one to ever say this, but tons of the teachers have always said, you don't learn anything, you just remember. We're not capable of, we will never say something original, we'll never say anything new, invent anything new. It's all already been done. Anything that is knowable is already known. It's known in Source, and it flows through the field of experience. And it is through these avatars that we engage with this living knowledge, this living potential. And we feed it with our attention. I've been saying it for a while now. Your attention is the currency of our reality. If you pay attention to something, it grows. If you do not, it shrinks, it shrivels, it fades. You can look at say in the United States, back in the 50s, I think baseball, horse racing, and boxing were like the top sports that people would watch. They faded. They no longer garner the attention. People used to listen to big band music. People used to listen to punk music, whatever it is. These things come and they go. They thrive on our attention. Our attention feeds the potential, this living information, as it rises through the tree of knowledge, or tree of life. We interact with it. It's our world. And there are many layers to this field of experience. There's the individual level that you're at, but then there's the collective experience. And the collective experience is what really kind of generates your culture, which is what our next video is going to be about. But there's still individual experiences to be had within this larger field. Take like our recent, medical situation that we had happen worldwide. That was fed through people's attention. People were starving to get you to pay attention to these things. They were doing whatever they could. God, we all remember. I would say never forget, but people forget. It's the way it is. But we must be careful with our attention. And I hope this model helps you understand how I'm trying to describe and why I say the things that I say the way that I say them. It's because I genuinely believe this model, like I said, it's just a metaphor. But I think it actually describes how this world works. And how your own attention is constantly being competed for, because the powers that be know your attention is the only currency that there is. They know it. They run all the media and social media and constantly they know. And we need to know too. Spend some time with it. See how it fits with you. Maybe it resonates a little bit. So you have source. Information flows out into the field through the tree of life. We engage with this experience, with this knowledge, or we don't. And it stays here and it continues to grow as it's fed, and over time will slowly fade. Everything slowly fades. Second law of thermodynamics. And as it does, it returns to source. Source absorbs it. This is how God grows. Source is God, in my view. So God grows. God grows by the experience. And then, based on what's happening in the field, new potential is released. And this is how this reality can be manipulated. It is manipulated by your attention. Think about Dorothy and the Yellow Brick Road, and how you have the wizard behind the curtain. Your reality is manipulated, and this is how it's manipulated. Because you see, the potential that returns back out here to the field has to fit logically to what's happening. You can't just suddenly have like dinosaurs reappear. It wouldn't function. So as societies and cultures swing from one way to another, new potential arises to facilitate those changes. And what we're going to talk about a little bit next is like you all to think about a little bit is imagine as cultures become more extreme, one way to another. Well, you see the information that comes from source, it has to become more extreme itself. And this is why we have the cycles that we have, what they call yugas. Or I've heard people talk about like the turnings. You see, these are naturally generated by the vying for our attention. And as our attention swings, eventually it has to swing back the other way, generating these cycles. And source will constantly feed these things, so they're always slow moving. But as we become more and more extreme, the information entering the field becomes more extreme. All you got to do is look at who's in political power today. Could not have happened 20, 30 years ago. But it is a logical conclusion to the events that have been happening, because the events that have been happening are fed by our attention. Food for thought, my friends. I'm going to leave it there. We're at 12 minutes. That's too long. Hopefully I didn't ramble terribly too much. My friends, your sovereignty, the closest thing that you will ever have to free will, is to gain the use of your attention. Because once you take a course of action, you're riding that wave, my friend. All we get to do is pick the wave. Until then, my friends,